Welcome everyone. In today's video, I'm going to cover the most important news that occurred in the Solana ecosystem last week. So the first piece of news today comes from Serum. So Project Serum's DAO voting is now live. So if you go to this Medium article, you can see that they give a ton of details about the DAO, how to get involved, and some of the parameters going around. But just know that one Serum equals one vote. But to be able to create proposals and governance stuff, you're going to need a lot of Serum tokens to be able to do so. But if you want to get involved, make sure to read this Medium article. I'll be linking it in the description down below. And just remember that all news items that I talk about today, I'll leave in the description down below if you want to know more about it. The next piece of news comes from Solana. So the Solana Ignition Hackathon ended last week, and there was 568 projects submitted to that particular hackathon. I've made a video on my channel, you can go check it out. So basically I just talk about the 10 most promising projects coming from the Solana Ignition Hackathon that I was really interested in. Expect to see the winners from this hackathon go on to be big players in the Solana ecosystem, as well as historically we've seen Saber Finance, for example, Parrot Finance and Mango Markets come out of these hackathons and do really well. The next piece of news comes from Riskswap. So they've released their perpetual futures on the testnet, so you can go ahead and try out the platform if you want, see if you like it. I'm really excited for this project, so I'll definitely be trying out their testnet to see how the user interface is. The next piece of news comes from Fabric. So we have an update from them in this Medium article. They talk about royalties. So if you guys haven't heard, quite recently FTX has made the decision to refuse to list NFT projects that offer royalties to holders, as they may be considered securities. In light of this situation, a couple of projects have pivoted on offering royalties. So Piggy Soul Gang, for example, they went from a 20 SOL floor to about 2 SOL floor because of their pivot away from royalties, and that was one of the big reasons why people bought into Piggy Soul Gang. Another has been the Solarians. So all the revenue share from Digitalized that was promised to the Solarian holders has now gone. But Fabric have decided that their Fab Punks are still going to keep having their royalties. So they say here that owners have received in excess of 260 Solana from royalty fees, and they plan to keep it that way in the future, because they've essentially just taken the reward distribution mechanism and made it decentralized and trustless, so it can't be changed. So they can't pivot away from royalties in the future too. Additionally, they've announced a triple yield farm. So the new pool will not only admit Fab to stakers, but also Apex and GSail too, and it's the first of its kind to offer triple yield in the Solana ecosystem. The next piece of news comes from Solend. So Solend have announced a retroactive liquidity mining program. So if you've used Solend before, go onto their website to see if you're eligible for any tokens. I was eligible for about 2.8 Solend tokens because I'd used the protocol a bit before, but not that much. But these tokens aren't claimable until they do their token generation event, but no details on that have been made available yet. Additionally, they're doing a liquidity mining program now, so you can go ahead and use Solend Finance, do any lending, do any borrowing. You'll earn Solend tokens for doing so. However, like I said, you won't be able to claim those tokens until they do their token generation event, which might be a few weeks or it might be in a month's time. So just keep that in mind. So the next piece of news comes from Raydium and Magic Eden. So they have launched their NFT Marketplace on Raydium. And this gives the community the best options, liquidity and exposure. So all Magic Eden collections will be dual listed on Magic Eden and Raydium. So if you check out the Raydium NFT website, it's basically Magic Eden. Like the user experience isn't really that much different. However, in the future, if you go on and use Raydium, you'll be able to buy and sell NFTs using whatever Raydium supported asset you want. So right now, NFTs are like priced in SOL, but in the future on Raydium, you'll be able to buy and sell these NFTs in USDC, USDT, Serum, Raydium, whatever token you want. The next piece of news comes from Genopets. So they've opened up the waitlist for their public beta, so you can sign up to join that. So essentially what Genopets is, it's a move to earn game. So you can link your wallet to either your smartphone or like a Fitbit or like an Apple Watch, and the more you move, the more you get paid. The next piece of news is that the AURY IDO has finished. So the IDO raised $108 million, giving the AURY token a $171 million market cap and a fully diluted value at $1.5 billion. So the final price for the AURY token was $15.55, and it's now tradable on FTX. The next piece of news comes from Squads. So their beta is going to launch on November the 9th. So if you're not familiar with Squads, essentially they allow for on-chain governance voting for DAOs, which is an essential piece of DAO infrastructure, especially now that DAOs are launching on Solana and they're becoming big, so it's important that they have this on-chain governance voting. The next piece of news comes from Francium. So Francium have partnered up with Marinade Finance to give away 48,000 Marinade Finance tokens. So between the 22nd of October and the 29th of October, all you need to do is deposit aSOL onto Francium and you can start earning Marinade Finance tokens. The next piece of news comes from aSOL Protocol. They've recently gone live on the Solana mainnet, and they've got a really interesting goal. So essentially what aSOL plans to do is become an unbiased tokenized aggregator for staked SOL tokens. So aSOL leverages the Crate protocol to handle aggregation of different staked tokens. Users can mint aSOL tokens by simply depositing a whitelisted stakeable token, and then users can burn aSOL for the basket of staked SOL tokens. So if I go on the website, you can see that you can deposit aSOL or Lido stake SOL, and then you'll receive aSOL in return. So for right now, they've only garnered about $13,000 in TVL. I expect this to change in the future as long as aSOL isn't a rug. So I'm not encouraging use of aSOL. I don't know if this is legitimate or not, but just it's something to keep an eye out on. And the last piece of news today comes from Matrix ETF, and they have launched a Solana index. So if you wanted to get exposure to the Solana ecosystem as a whole, you can buy this MSI index, and it consists of Solana, Serum, Raydium, Bonfida, Mango Market, Star Atlas, Solanium, and Tulip Protocol. So the indexes right now available on Matrix ETF are limited to only 8 projects, and you'll see that in the future. So you can either buy the Matrix Solana index and have exposure to the Solana ecosystem as a whole. So you can either buy the Matrix Solana index if you want exposure to some of the low caps, but you don't want to hold each one individually, or you could just buy SOL itself, and that sort of acts like an index token for the Solana ecosystem as well, and it's performed well over time, so the decision is totally yours. This video is unofficially sponsored by DeGods NFT, the first deflationary NFT set on Solana, where common traits become rare and paper hands pay a 33% tax if they sell below their buy price. Make sure to buy yours at alpha.art.